The day I was supposed to get my marriage certificate with Ryan, the Hawthorne Group CEO who had chased me for 8 years lost his composure in front of everyone, walked out of a $10 billion strategic partnership negotiation, and disappeared without a trace. Ryan sneered. He'd ditch a multi-billion-dollar deal. What, is he planning to crash our wedding? I didn't answer. I only asked, aren't you afraid I'll actually run off with him? Ryan waved the marriage certificate that bore someone else's name, brimming with confidence. You've put up with me marrying another woman. Why would I worry about some Hawthorne CEO? Relax, this is only Brielle's dying wish. She saved my life, I have to repay her. Once the wedding is over, I'll come back and marry you. You're so generous. After we're married, I'll treat you like a queen. I gave a perfunctory smile. He had no idea the text that made the Hawthorne CEO abandon those billions had been sent by me. It contained only 5 words. Come marry me right now. 5 minutes before I hit send, I'd still been determined to marry Ryan. After all, from college until now, 8 full years, my best years had been given to him. Just when I thought today would be our happy ending, he wheeled a wheelchair up to the entrance of the county clerk's office. The girl in the chair was Brielle, who 5 years ago had dragged him from a lake. He gazed at her with heartbreak and said, Brielle was left with irreversible damage after saving me. She doesn't have long. Her last wish is to be someone's wife. To grant Brielle's dying wish, I have to marry her. Then he pushed her through the doors. The embossed seal slammed down, marriage complete. I didn't even have time to ask why. Acting as if I weren't there, the two glided off amid the clerk's congratulations. Watching their affectionate backs, my eyes burned. Suddenly Sebastian appeared with a bouquet of roses. He'd rushed over, panting, but the love in his eyes hadn't dimmed in the least. Seeing my reddened rims, he flashed a dazzling grin. Baby, sorry I'm late. That single baby sounded so natural it shattered my tears into laughter. We got our license in record time. Sebastian wanted to coddle me a little longer, but I shooed him back to salvage his deal. Clutching the little red book with our photo inside, I felt nothing seemed real until 3 blocks later, happiness finally bubbled up. The instant I pushed open my own front door, it all evaporated. Brielle lay on my sofa wearing my silk robe while Ryan hauled my belongings from the master suite. Spotting me, Ryan barked. What took you? Get over here and help us move. The master suite has light and airflow. Brielle needs it. I stashed your stuff in the maid's room. You'll stay there from now on. Blood rushed to my head. I paid for this house. Who gives you the right to touch my things without asking? He spun around. Julia, why so petty? Brielle is dying. Can't you give way? I ignored him and marched toward the maid's room to take everything back. My fingers had just touched the knob when Ryan yelled behind me. Wait. I turned. He shot Brielle a look, then smirked at me. Nothing. Go on in. I shoved the door, and splash. A bucket of ice-cold water dumped over my head. Dripping and shivering, I heard wild laughter explode from the living room. Ha! Julia, you look hilarious, like a drowned rat. Ryan doubled over, wiping tears of mirth. Brielle giggled, jabbing a finger my way. Emery, you're so wicked. Ha ha. Get the hell out, you shameless pair. Before the sentence was out, Brielle's face went white. She clutched her chest, coughing. Cough, 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 and crumpled into Ryan's arms. I feel awful, cough. Am I fading? Emery, my pills. Ryan instantly grabbed my arm. Go boil her medicine now. I tried to yank free. Do it yourself. She's this sick and you won't lift a finger? He shoved me. I slammed into the corner cabinet. Blood beaded on my forehead and streaked down my cheek. Ryan's gaze flickered at the sight, but before he could speak, Brielle cut in weakly. Emery, don't force Avery. She drooped on the sofa. I'll bear it. Only a few days left anyway. Ryan gazed at her with heart-clenching tenderness, then spun on me. Look at Brielle, considerate and adorable. You've turned into a shrew since yesterday. He slammed the kitchen door. Don't come out until the medicine's ready. The lock clicked shut. Outside, Brielle chirped. Emery, I feel better. Just tired. Seeing you energizes me. Ryan's ecstatic reply followed. Really, Brielle? You're truly okay. She cooed. Maybe being near you cured me. Thank heavens, he cried. God, take 10 years of my life, take 10 of Julia's. Just let Brielle live. Trembling with rage, I pounded on the door. Ryan, open up. I'll call the cops. Minutes later the lock clicked. Ryan glowered. Brielle's heart can't take your drama. Want to kill her? It's my house. I said, each word stone hard. Out. Alex. He froze. My stance wasn't the old rollover. Furious, he snapped. Behave like this and forget about me ever marrying you. Brielle, let's go. Leave the lunatic to rot. I walked past them toward the master suite. The bed was a tangle of sheets littered with wadded tissues. On the crimson duvet sat a dark wet stain. Beside the pillow, a half-dried blob of viscous white made my stomach lurch. I swallowed the bile, changed into dry clothes, gripped my suitcase, and left. In the living room, Brielle was still pretending to be delicate in Ryan's arms. I walked straight out the front door, hailed a cab, and headed to the nearest Grand. The moment I'd settled into my hotel room, my phone chimed with a WhatsApp friend request. I tapped accept, and the screen filled with a string of obscene photos, graphic, close-up shots of Ryan and Brielle in every position imaginable. The backdrop was unmistakable, my master suite, my bed. Seconds later, Brielle's voice messages rolled in. "So, Julia, how do you like the view? Emery's a lot more passionate on top of me than he ever was on top of you. He says you just lie there like a dead fish, zero spice. Oh, and we tested your mattress. Great bounce, really sets the mood. Your stuff always feels better to use, hee. Blood slammed against my skull. My fingers shook as I typed. Bitch meets mutt, may they last forever. The instant it sent, I blocked her. Next morning I rang a cleaning service to scrub the house from top to bottom. I unlocked the door and felt lightning strike my spine. My once familiar home now blazed with ribbons and lights. Dozens of strangers milled about, clinking glasses, roaring with laughter. Before I could process it, red wine slapped my face. Shameless homewrecker. How dare you show your face? A heavy-set middle-aged woman jabbed a finger at me, shrieking. I wiped the wine away, opening my mouth to fight back, when thunderous music detonated. Let's give our happiest groom, Ryan, and our most beautiful, most courageous bride, Brielle, a thunderous welcome. The MC's shriek rocketed through speakers. To the beat, Ryan wheeled Brielle out from the inner hall. My gaze snapped to the living room wall. A crimson banner screamed, Ryan. Brielle wedding banquet, give for love, save ailing Brielle. Spotting me dripping at the threshold, Ryan strode over. Julia, what are you doing here? He dropped his voice to a hiss of command. Brielle doesn't have long. This is her final wish. It's just a luck-boosting reception to raise donations. Swallow it for now, no scenes. Everyone here is from her support group. They came to help. His words torched the last fuse. I jabbed a finger at him in the sea of strangers. Have you no shame? This is my house. Get out, all of you. Before the sentence finished, a familiar figure elbowed forward, snarling in my face. Your house? Bitch, open your damn eyes. This is my son and Brielle's marital home. You're just praying Brielle dies so you can steal her nest, dream on. A slut who forgets favors deserves to rot in a sewer. Her rant ignited the crowd. The support group pack surged like wolves. While they shoved me back and forth, shrill voices knifed the air. Ryan, the mistress came to crash. Are you gonna let that slide? Be a man. Slap her and show Brielle you care. Others chimed. Yes, smack her. Teach the skank. Ryan, if you love Brielle, prove it now. Ryan's face cycled green and white. He looked at me, something twisted flashing in his eyes. Brielle put on a tragic act, fluttering. Please, don't make things hard for Emery. Ryan clenched his teeth. His hand whipped up and cracked across my cheek. The slap rang like a gunshot. Fire scorched my skin, my ears rang. Bravo! That's how you deal with trash. Had it coming, should have done it sooner. Cheers erupted. Phones popped up, live streaming. Epic wedding showdown, groom slaps shameless mistress. Then several pot-bellied men muscled through, reeking of booze. One rubbed his palms, eyes crawling over me. Hey, the groom's done educating. Now it's our turn to party. Word is the groomsmen get free reign, right? Come, pretty thing, let's head inside for fun. I thrashed wildly. Let go. What do you think you're doing? Filthy hands already roamed my body. Cut the act. We all know why you're here. Exactly, pretending to be innocent, little tramp. The mob howled with glee. I stared at Ryan in despair. He coldly turned away. Brielle sat in her wheelchair, lips curled in victory. Diane folded her arms, savoring the show. That's what you get, slut. About time someone taught you. My jacket hung in shreds. Buttons sprang off my blouse, baring skin. Nice figure. No wonder the groom ditched her. His loss is our gain, boys. One greasy paw clawed at my waistband, fumbling for my jeans button. I shut my eyes. Hopelessness swallowed me. Then the front door exploded inward. A man's roar sliced the air. You dare molest my wife? The door slammed the wall as black-suited bodyguards poured in. The groping drunks were slammed to the floor, arms twisted behind backs. Howls of pain ricocheted. I collapsed, staring up. Sebastian. He draped his coat over my shoulders, voice soft as silk. Sorry I'm late. Ryan's complexion drained. He forced a step toward Sebastian. Sebastian, what's this? Bringing an army into my home. You weren't invited. Money doesn't give you the right. Sebastian's smile was ice, gaze flicking to the pinned perverts. You mess with my wife, I mess back. Ryan faltered. You're what? Sebastian pulled a small red booklet from his inner pocket and flicked it open for all to see. Julia is already my wife. The crimson marriage license glowed under the chandeliers. The room froze. Ryan snatched the booklet, eyes devouring the date and embossed seal, face shifting from chalk to thundercloud. You filthy, conniving slut. He flung the marriage certificate at me. I'm not even dead yet, and you're already shopping for my replacement. The moment the words left his mouth, Sebastian seized him by the collar. Ryan was yanked clean off the floor, his face flushing crimson. Shut up. Sebastian's voice could have frozen hell. Say one more syllable, and I'll make sure you never speak again. Ryan tried to twist free, but Sebastian's glare nailed him in place. His gaze sliced toward me, sharp, furious, incomprehensible. I think you owe me an explanation. I looked straight back. I told you that day outside the county clerk's office. I was waiting for someone to sign the papers. Ryan's complexion drained to paper white. I went on. I was blind for 8 years. Now I can see. You and I are finished, utterly, completely. Every word felt like a needle driven through his heart. Sebastian spoke calmly. In that case, you two can leave. Ryan's face contorted, veins bulging. Get out. Both of you out. Don't you dare ruin our wedding. Brielle chose that moment to tug his sleeve, all delicate concern. Emery, don't be angry. Think of your health. She turned to me, eyes glittering with triumph. Avery, even though you've married, we're still friends, right? You understand how much Emery and I love each other. I gave a cold laugh. If anyone's leaving, it's you. I pulled the deed from my bag. The house is indisputably in my name. I bought it for my wedding to Ryan, but he went and married someone else. So no ceremony will be held here. Take your celebration anywhere you like, just not under this roof. Diane's face went livid. Julia, you little bitch. This house was meant for my son. Then why isn't his name on the deed? I countered. Ryan's voice quavered. Julia, don't be heartless. After everything we've shared. What exactly did we share? I cut him off. The second you signed papers with her, did you give one thought to us? Brielle burst into tears. Avery, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have come back. You two should get back together. After all, I only have days left. Her sobs ignited the support group crowd. Julia, have you no soul? Brielle is dying. Yeah, you're driving her to the grave. So money gives you the right to crush people? Ryan glanced at Sebastian, then at the furious onlookers, conflict raging across his face. Finally he spat. Fine. We're leaving. But Julia, you'll regret this. As they turned to go, Sebastian spoke. Hold it. Everyone froze. Out of old-school courtesy, let me clue you in. The so-called savior you worship? She's a fraud. The words cracked like thunder. Ryan blanched. What are you talking about? 5 years ago you fell into that lake and nearly drowned. I'm the one who hauled you out. Sebastian's tone was eerily calm. I had a family emergency, so I left. Brielle merely wandered past afterward. Brielle's face turned ash-gray. Her wheelchair shook. Impossible. Ryan stumbled backward. Brielle told me herself, she saved me. You're lying. Brielle shrieked. Sebastian, you'll stoop to anything to steal Julia. She swiveled toward Ryan, tears shimmering. Emery, don't believe him. I was the one who pulled you from the water. Ryan jabbed a finger at Sebastian. Are you toying with me? Trampling my gratitude. Sebastian flicked his phone. A video filled the screen. Crystal clear footage of the lake 5 years back. Ryan thrashing, sinking. A figure diving in, dragging him ashore. The rescuer, Sebastian. Brielle appeared only after Sebastian walked away. Ryan's complexion bleached, his hands trembled. This can't be real. Brielle's eyes flickered with panic, but she quickly masked it. She shook her head, tearful. Emery, technology can fake anything these days. Mr. Hawthorne has the money. Fabricating a clip is child's play. Don't let him deceive you. Ryan hesitated, eyes darting between the video and Brielle. I could see the doubt sprouting. Just then Brielle erupted in violent coughs, sliding from her wheelchair to the floor. Emery, am I dying? Her whisper was thread-thin, her face ghost-white. Ryan panicked, dropping to cradle her. Brielle, talk to me. This is their fault for upsetting you. Alex, I'm getting her to the hospital. Watching his clueless flailing filled me with revulsion. Sebastian suddenly laughed, the sound echoing harshly. Ryan, you're a first-class idiot. Ryan shot him a murderous glare. You find this funny? Brielle is collapsing. This Brielle is a professional con artist. Sebastian's voice turned arctic. She's pulled this scam in multiple states. Bullshit. Ryan lifted Brielle. She's an angel, she can't be a crook. Sebastian signaled. A bodyguard dumped a stack of documents at Ryan's feet. See for yourself. Pages scattered, driver's licenses, hospital bracelets, mug shots. Casey, Quinn, Rowan, a dozen aliases, one face. Rap sheets, fraud indictments, page after damning page. Ryan's skin went from white to green, papers fluttering in his shaking hands. These are forgeries. He was almost roaring. You'll fabricate anything to tear us apart. Brielle's eyes fluttered open. Spotting the files, she flashed raw terror. Within a heartbeat she masked it, feigned bewilderment. Emery, what's happening? Nothing, Brielle. Let's go. Clutching her, Ryan strode for the door. Wait. Sebastian's voice rang out. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, 911. I'd like to report a fugitive. Brielle's face went white. The act was over. She jumped out of Ryan's arms, abandoning her wheelchair, and sprinted for the door. There wasn't a trace of the dying woman left. Ryan stood frozen, watching Brielle dash away as if lightning had struck him. Brielle, you! Sebastian's bodyguards caught her. She thrashed wildly, every shred of frailty gone. Sebastian swept the room with a gaze sharp enough to cut. The auntie who threw red wine and the middle-aged men who tried to grope my wife are all part of Brielle's crew. I whipped around. The color drained from their faces. The self-righteous auntie backed up, stammering, I don't know any Brielle. I just can't stand mistresses. She gave the orders. Sebastian's voice was ice. The men panicked. One bolted for the exit. The guards had already sealed every door. My heart pounded. All that venom had been scripted. They weren't white knights. They'd been hired to humiliate me. I don't hit women, Sebastian said. He nodded to the guards. But she pays for what she did. Smack! Smack! The slaps cracked through the room. Brielle's cheeks swelled, blood beading at the corner of her mouth. Watching her crumple, I felt a fierce rush of satisfaction. Ryan finally jerked awake and stumbled toward her. Brielle, why? His voice shook. I treated you like gold. Why lie to me? Spitting blood, she flashed him a venomous glare. Blame your zipper, she snarled at Ryan. You bought the dying act, but one crook of my finger and you still dragged me into bed. Ryan's face blanched, he swayed like a dead tree. The support group livestream exploded. WTF, she's a con. We got played. Disgusting, she milked our pity. The patients surged forward, rage on their faces. Someone hurled a fist at Brielle. Thief! Give back every donated dollar. Return my hard-earned cash. Chaos erupted. The crowd closed in on her. I watched, stomach churning. Seconds ago they'd pitted her. Now they wanted blood. Ryan collapsed, clutching his head, howling. Why do this to me? His roar sounded hollow, as if his soul had been ripped out. Sirens wailed. Officers burst in and secured the scene. Brielle, you're under arrest for fraud. As the cuffs snapped shut, she glared at me with pure hatred. They dragged her out. Her screams faded down the hall. Her accomplices followed. The room finally stilled. Ryan stayed on the floor, boneless. Sebastian scanned the crowd. Show's over, leave. The patients traded awkward looks, some slipping out, others glancing back guiltily. I exhaled, then stiffened. My dear daughter-in-law. Diane elbowed through, beaming. Ryan was only joking. Don't take it to heart. She grabbed my hands. Now let me officiate. Your wedding to Ryan starts right now. I yanked free, stunned. Was human skin really this thick? Auntie, your son already married Brielle, I said, enunciating every word. They're husband and wife. Diane waved it off. That fake paper doesn't count. Also, this house is mine. I pointed to the door. Alex, escort them out. Diane's smile flipped. Ingrate. Our family treated you like treasure. Suddenly Ryan dropped to his knees. His legs slammed the marble with a dull thud. Julia, I was blind. His voice cracked. I'll divorce Brielle today, right now. I stared at the man groveling before me and felt only absurdity. I know you love me. Marrying Sebastian was just to spite me. He crawled closer. Divorce him and come back to me. Behind me, Sebastian radiated steady warmth. I met Ryan's gaze. I once knelt in front of love, swallowed my pride, only because I couldn't accept losing. My voice stayed calm. But when I tally the years, I see Sebastian's devotion. I choose him, loud and clear. Ryan's face drained of color. We're legally married, I continued, each word a blade. And you don't love me. You just need a fallback now that Brielle's gone. No! He lunged for my leg. I stepped aside. The minute someone younger bats her eyes, you'd kick me aside again. I looked down at him. Understand? Please vacate my property. Diane kept shrieking. You bought this place for Ryan. He owns half. She jabbed at the sofa. He picked every stick of furniture. You can't just evict us. Her shamelessness left me speechless. Sebastian coolly intervened. Keep yelling, and I'll dial the police. Explain your claim to a judge. His quiet steel sent Diane scurrying, still muttering, Filthy money thinks it rules. She followed Ryan out, curses trailing down the driveway. She couldn't resist shooting me one last glare. Julia, you'll regret this. The door slammed, and the room finally sank into silence. I collapsed onto the couch, feeling hollowed out. The whole farce had played like some absurd piece of theater. Sebastian walked over and sat beside me. This place feels tainted now. Let's get out, clear our heads. I nodded. I didn't want to stay another second. He took my hand and led me downstairs. A red convertible waited at the curb. The engine purred to life, quiet yet vibrating with restrained power. Cool wind rushed through the open window, scattering the gloom in my chest. I was scared, Sebastian said suddenly. Scared of what? That you'd turn out just like Ryan said, marrying me on a whim because you were furious. His profile flickered in the streetlights, etched with uncertainty. I laughed softly. The mighty Sebastian lacking confidence? I've never had confidence when it comes to you. His knuckles tightened on the wheel. I chased you for years, and you barely glanced my way. Warmth spread through me. Back then, my world had revolved around Ryan. I'd taken Sebastian's devotion for granted, even dismissed it. The billion-dollar alliance with Starlight Group is locked in, he said, changing the subject. I can finally step back and let my team run things for a while. He glanced at me. Julia, give me the chance to love you the way you deserve. The red light ahead glowed in his eyes, steady as a vow. I stroked his cheek. Sebastian, thank you for waiting. The light turned green and we rolled forward. Behind us, the wreckage. Ahead, an unknown but luminous future. Losing Ryan, I realized, was the luckiest break of my life, because it led me to someone who truly loves me. Over the next month, Sebastian swept me from the Champs-Élysées to the Colosseum, then beneath Tokyo's cherry blossoms, cameras clicking at every stop. At each destination, he bought me a piece of local jewelry. Why all the trinkets? I asked, shaking the new strand of pearls on my wrist. Because you deserve every beautiful thing this world can offer. He kissed my forehead. I floated in that cherished, protected bubble, until a Maldives resort headline shattered it. Brielle had been sentenced to 20 years. Assault, fraud, a string of counts piled high. Netizens howled for her blood. A monster like that should rot in jail. Karma's a queen. Ryan's no victim. Cheating douche and his scheming witch, a match made in hell. Public outrage had forced Ryan's resignation. His face was meme famous. No firm would touch him. That's the clown the mistress played like a fiddle. All looks 0 IQ. Bet he's crying into his resume. Rumor had it Diane now screamed at Ryan daily for mooching. Their fights turned vicious. In one rage-filled clash, she plunged from the 10th floor. She survived, but doctors say she'll never walk again. None of it concerned me anymore. The day after we landed, I listed the house. Jordan, it's huge, luxury finished. Are you sure about a distress sale? The agent asked, puzzled. I'm certain, I said flatly. Any offer. I never want to see it again. 3 days later it sold for $300,000 under market. I exhaled in relief, every last remnant of my past gone. Sebastian's efficiency amazed me. The wedding machine mobilized like a special ops unit. 2 weeks later at dawn, I faced the mirror in a $1 million wedding gown. Ivory silk skimming every curve, crystals and pearls blazing in the morning light, princess perfect. Downstairs, engines rumbled. I opened the window. A fleet of white Rolls-Royces filled the drive, each hood crowned with white roses that caught the sun like frost. Sebastian stepped from the lead car, custom white tux molded to his frame, a single white rose at his lapel. He looked up, eyes only for me. My princess, I've come for you. The venue stole my breath. The city's flagship grand had been commandeered entirely. A colossal crystal chandelier rained prismatic fire over 3,000 imported roses massed on the stage, scarlet, alabaster, blush, an enchanted sea. Every seat held a VIP, moguls, senators, chart-topping idols. They had all come for us. The officiant called for the bride. The hall plunged into darkness. A lone spotlight found me. My wedding march swelled. I glided down the rose-strewn aisle, each footfall cushioned by velvety petals. Guests rose, applause thundered, camera flashes strobed, but I saw only Sebastian. Tears shimmered in his eyes, tears of triumph, of joy. When I reached him, he extended his hand. Julia, I've waited forever for this moment, he whispered, voice trembling. The officiant began the vows. Sebastian repeated every word, steady and sure. For richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, I will love and protect you until my last breath. When it was my turn, the tears finally fell. Sebastian, thank you for showing me what real love is. I choked out. I take you as my husband, today and all the days ahead. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you enjoyed it, hit like and share with friends. We can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales, and we'll see you next time.
1 week before the wedding, Shane, my fiancé, the man who had promised to build a future with me, was bending his head to kiss his assistant Jordan. Her long hair tumbled in the afternoon sunlight, 2 buttons of her blouse undone, revealing a suggestive red bruise on her collarbone. The coffee cup in my hand slipped, porcelain shattering across the floor with a sharp crack. He lifted his head, panic flickering for an instant, then composed himself. Quinn, he walked toward me. Natalie, let me explain. I stepped back, my throat clogged, too raw to produce a sound. 8 years of love, 3 years living together, I thought our hearts beat in sync. Yet in this moment I realized I had never truly known him. Jordan smoothed her hair, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Taylor, we were just discussing work. Simple misunderstanding, right? I clenched my fists, nails digging into my palms. Misunderstanding? Those love bites, that image of tangled breaths, did I imagine it all? I spun and fled. Behind me Shane's low roar chased, Natalie, stop being hysterical. Hysterical? I laughed, but tears streamed uncontrollably. The wedding was days away, yet I had no idea this betrayal was only the first gust of a hurricane. 8 years ago I met Shane at Hudson University. 5 years my senior, he was the heir of a real estate dynasty, charming, eloquent. Back then he felt like a beam of light illuminating my naive youth. We went from campus sweethearts to roommates, survived long-distance stretches, survived our parents' objections. 3 years ago he proposed, down on one knee, promising me a home. My parents, uneasy about his complicated family, finally relented when they saw how he treated me. I decorated the penthouse loft myself, Scandinavian furniture, floor-to-ceiling greenery, every corner soaked with my dreams. I thought that was the shape of happiness. Now the coffee splattered on the floor mirrored my trust, smashed to pieces. That day, after leaving Shane's office, I practically stumbled down the stairs. Tears melted my mascara into a smeared mess. Traffic roared at the intersection, the wind stung my cheeks. My phone buzzed nonstop, Shane calling. I rejected, he redialed, I rejected again. Finally a voice message popped up, Natalie, quit the drama. Come home so we can talk. Talk? About how he nuzzled Jordan behind my back? About how he ground my trust under his heel? I deleted his number, blocked every channel, waved down a cab, and headed straight to the penthouse loft. Neon lights scrolled past the window. The city felt like a giant whirlpool swallowing my heart. Inside the loft, red paper cutouts grinned from every wall. Scarlet and blinding, they pricked my eyes. I grabbed scissors, snip, snip, shredded every last one. Balloons exploded beneath my heels, pop pop, mocking my naivete. The wedding gown hung on the rack, its snow-white train glowing softly under the lights. I yanked it down, stuffed it into the trash, tossing every fantasy of the future along with it. By the time I finished, dawn was bleaching the sky. I collapsed on the sofa, knees hugged to my chest. For the first time this home felt ice cold. My phone rang. Mom, Natalie, is everything set? You haven't answered calls for days. I drew a slow breath, fighting to keep my voice level. Mom, I'm calling off the wedding. Silence on the line. Don't be rash. 8 years together, invitations mailed, relatives notified. I'm not being rash. I wouldn't explain, wouldn't admit to my parents that I, Natalie, had loved the wrong man. Let's just say I'm not the right fit. I hung up, powered the phone off, curled on the sofa, eyes shut. Shane's promises echoed in my skull. Natalie, I'll give you the whole world. Natalie, we'll have 2 kids, a boy like me, a girl like you. Natalie, I'll start my own firm and build it with you. All lies. I opened my eyes, my throat burned, parched as sand. I stood to pour water, but my hands shook so hard the glass slipped. Water spread across the floor, a perfect map of my shattered heart. 1 week later, after piecing myself together, I headed to Vance Capital. Work couldn't wait. As CFO, I wouldn't let personal wreckage sink the firm. The moment I stepped off the elevator I ran into Jordan. She wore a body-hugging dress and killer heels, bright as a poppy. Taylor, morning. Her tone was light, as if nothing had happened. I gave her a frosty glance, said nothing, and strode into my office. She followed, shut the door, her smile evaporating. Taylor, you're still mad about the other day? Shane told me you guys just fought. No need to break up over it. Shane? The pet name stabbed me. Jordan, this isn't your business. Icy voice, I pointed at the door. Out. She shrugged and tossed over her shoulder. Taylor, Shane says you'll crawl back in a couple days. The moment the latch clicked, I crushed the pen in my grip. Crawl back? Natalie, never retreat. That night I worked late. By the time I left, the wind had turned biting and sobering. Riley convenience store glowed 24 hours. I pushed in for water. At the register a young man was paying, white shirt sleeves rolled to the elbow, forearms taut. His posture arrow-straight, like a pine. He turned, met my eyes, blinked, then smiled, clean and bright. Sorry, didn't mean to block you. The voice carried sunshine. I shook my head, moved past him to grab a bottle. Just then a row of mineral water slid off the shelf. I lunged, his hand closed over mine first. Warm skin, faint calluses, a scratch of sandpaper. Careful. He released me, handed the bottle, mouth curving. My heart skipped, I looked away. Casey. At checkout he stood behind me, a faint woody scent drifting, rain-soaked forest. I fidgeted, paid, and hurried out. A few steps later his call stopped me. Wait. I turned, he jogged over, my phone in hand, forehead dotted with sweat that caught the streetlight. You left this on the counter. Our fingers brushed, static. Casey. I'm Natalie. I blurted my name before thinking. He grinned, eyes star-bright in the night. I'm Leo. I didn't sense it then, but that chance meeting would reroute my entire life. Next morning I spotted Leo again in the cafe beneath Vance Capital. He wore a dove-gray sweater, a stack of blueprints beside him, head bent over drafting. Sunlight carved the sharp line of his jaw. When I entered he waved, eyes sparkling. Cameron, fancy seeing you. Cameron? I paused. I'm a few years older, after all. I ordered an Americano and casually asked, what do you do? He scratched his head, shy. Architecture in turn, just started at a firm nearby. He slid the sketches forward, indicating a sleek flowing structure. Recent project, could you take a look? I raised a brow at his forwardness, but his earnest eyes hooked me. The design was daring, curves like a leaping fish. Not bad, visionary lines. I offered pointers, his eyes lit as if I'd handed him candy. Cameron, and you? Finance, CFO, he whistled, dramatic. Big shot. Let me cling to your coattails. His goofiness coaxed a laugh from me, the tightness in my chest loosening. For a moment I forgot Shane, forgot betrayal. Sunlight felt good, coffee fragrant. After that, bumping into Leo became routine, sometimes the cafe, sometimes Riley's store. He brimmed with sunlight, chatted like a sparrow. Cameron, try this brioche, fresh out the oven. Cameron, this milk tea's killer, my treat. His warmth wrapped around me like spring breeze, comforting, never scorching. I grew used to his presence, to the steaming cups he shoved into my hands, to the tiny fung his smile revealed. Yet when night fell, Shane's ghost still crept in. The hickey he left, the cold smirk, the way he called me irrational. I told myself, Natalie, don't fall again. But my heart felt brushed by something invisible, an itch I couldn't scratch. A month later the firm hosted an industry mixer. I walked in as the delegate, black skirt suit, hair twisted high, aura on full wattage. The instant I crossed the threshold I saw Shane. He wore midnight blue worsted, Jordan hooked through his elbow. Scarlet gown, Jordan's laugh was loud as a peony in full bloom. My chest caved, my fingers dented the clasp of my clutch. Shane spotted me too, eyes complicated, and came straight over. Natalie, we need to talk. His baritone carried a ragged edge, like rope about to fray. I gave a thin laugh. Nothing left to discuss. Rowan cut in, tone lilting. Taylor, Shane's told you it was just a misunderstanding. Why keep grinding the axe? I skewered her with a glare, mouth half open, when a clear male voice rose behind me. Cameron, who are these people? Leo had appeared at my shoulder, half turned as if to shield me. Pale suit, clean lines, but there was steel in his gaze. My insides warmed. Leo, a friend of mine. Shane's face darkened, he sized Leo up. Friend? Since when do you collect friends this young, Natalie? Leo smiled, polite and level. Cameron helped me once. I'm grateful, Jordan snorted. Grateful? We're planning an upgrade? Heat flared up my throat. Before I could snap, Leo's fingers brushed my knuckles, warm, steady. Cameron, let's grab seats over there. He steered me away, spine straight as a windbreak. My pulse galloped, my nose stung with sudden tears. That second I understood, Leo was a shaft of light spearing through every fracture in me. After the mixer he drove me home. Night pressed thick against the windshield, street lamps bled amber. Soft jazz drifted from the speakers. I lolled in the passenger seat, eyes shut, Shane and Jordan reruns on a migraine loop. Cameron, you okay? His question was a feather drifting onto raw skin. I opened my eyes, shook my head. Fine. He asked nothing more, just handed me a bottle of water. It was still warm from his grip. I cracked the cap, swallowed, the dryness soothed. Leo, Casey for stepping in tonight. He grinned, crescents forming in his eyes. Cameron, someone as fierce as you, rescue missions should be impossible. His joke coaxed a laugh out of me, the fog in my chest thinned. The car stopped under the loft tower. I stepped out, but he called softly, Cameron, if it hurts, don't force yourself to stay. His tone was grave, his eyes star-bright. I nodded, mute, and escaped into the lobby. I didn't sleep that night. Leo's smile on one side, Shane's betrayal on the other, two winches pulling my heart in half. Days slipped by like quiet water. After the mixer, I blocked every channel that might carry Shane's name. Inside Vance Capital, Jordan still paraded the corridors, flinging glances across the coffee station. I ignored her, buried myself in spreadsheets, letting stuff the hollow spaces. Yet whenever the city stilled, Leo's smile barged in uninvited. The crooked incisor, cedar and skin scent, the low warning, Cameron, don't force yourself. I lectured the mirror, Natalie, 28, not some sophomore drunk on kindness. But my heart rippled like a lake brushed by spring wind. That evening I was still at my desk at 7. Sunset slanted through glass, paperwork stacked like a miniature mountain suffocating me. My phone buzzed, a message from Leo. Cameron, off work yet? I'm downstairs with provisions. My thumb hovered, then typed OK. Under the street lamp he waited, white sweater glowing, paper bag in hand. Cameron, starvation mode detected. My mom's braised pork, universe level good. His eyes held entire galaxies of mischief. Our fingers brushed when I took the bag, the contact jolted my heart off rhythm. Leo, why do you keep showing up? I tried for playful, mask the tremor. He scratched his head. Cameron helped me, repayment clause activated. Repayment? Flimsier than a toddler's excuse. I let it ride, carried the feast upstairs, something soft clawing inside me. The scent filled the bullpen, soy, anise, caramelized sugar, meat so tender it dissolved. Halfway through, my throat ached. When had I last tasted home? With Shane we frequented Michelin halos, plates geometric and cold, always felt rationed, never warm. Maybe what we lacked wasn't truffle oil but ordinary smoke. I snapped a photo, pinged Leo, mom's a sorceress. He fired back, told you. Alex, round 2 incoming. His avatar, cartoon mutt tongue lolling, ridiculous. I stared, smiled without permission. Then Shane's ghost barged in. Natalie, stop being irrational. Love is arsenic, drink enough and it kills. Sam, my phone rang, Mom. Natalie, Vanessa's home tomorrow. Dinner. Bring Shane. Ice pick straight to the sternum. Mom, Shane and I broke up. Silence expanded. Finally, don't joke. 8 years, deposits paid, how can you cancel? I'm not joking. I inhaled slow. He's wrong for me. I refused to settle. Another sigh. Fine. Come tomorrow. We'll discuss it properly. I ended the call, walked onto the balcony. Night wind scoured my cheeks. Discuss? Dissect how I was cheated, how trust crumbled until even my own reflection felt unreliable. I hugged my coat tighter, moon veiled by clouds like my emotions under smoke. Next afternoon I drove to my parents' house. Vanessa flung the door wide, colliding me into a rib-cracking hug. Natalie, missed you like crazy. 3 years my senior, freelance illustrator, perennial migratory bird. I thumped her back. Vanessa, any longer and Mom would have traded me for a vacuum. Mom poked her head from the kitchen, mock glare. Natalie, gossiping again? Around the table the mood sank like a faulty souffle. Dad set his chopsticks down. Natalie, explained the Shane situation. Everything was fine, why split? I chased grains of rice with my spoon, throat gravelly. He cheated. 4 syllables, brittle as frost. Mom's utensils clattered. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Cheated? That punk actually. A nod, nothing more. Mom refused to surrender. Natalie, men slip. 8 years isn't trash you toss. Something ignited behind my breastbone. Betrayal is non-negotiable. Dad cleared his throat, referee. Eat first. Natalie's capable of deciding, but I recognized the look, verdict still pending. After dishes Vanessa hauled me to her old bedroom, slammed the door. Spill every filthy detail. I recounted the hallway scene, Jordan's lipstick on Shane's collar. Vanessa punched a pillow. Scumbag. Kicking him out was surgical. Then softer, but what's your next act? Mom will relitigate until Christmas. I needed my temples. No script. Work is refuge, romance is radioactive. She flipped a framed photo from the nightstand. College me, white shirt, sunflower grin. Remember her? Where'd that fearless girl migrate? The glass blurred. I swiped my eyes. Yeah, when did I lose Natalie the undefeated? As the person in charge, I led the team to the other company for a meeting. I pushed open the conference room door and froze. Leo sat on one side of the long table, pen in hand, head bent over his notes. He looked up, his eyes brightened, and the familiar curve tugged at his mouth. Cameron, you're here too? I nodded, swallowed the strange flutter in my chest, and took the chair at the head. The meeting began. Leo, representing the firm, walked us through their design. His voice was calm, organized, and laced with the occasional joke that drew quiet laughter from the room. Watching him, I felt a flicker of wonder. The boy who once handed me a bottle of water in a convenience store seemed to have grown up. When the meeting ended, Leo caught up, a coffee in his hand. Cameron, for you, still hot. The cup radiated warmth against my palm, like his smile, steady, reassuring. Leo, what are you doing here? I accepted the coffee, trying to sound casual. He scratched his head. Didn't I tell you? I'm interning at the firm. I fought for a spot on this project, figured I could learn a thing or two from you. Learn a thing or two? The excuse sped my heartbeat again. I took a sip to hide the smile tugging at my lips. All right, then don't embarrass me. He snapped a salute. Yes, ma'am, Taylor. His goofiness made me laugh, and the clouds in my chest scattered. Working together meant we saw each other constantly. Leo was a pocket-sized sun, always ready with a ray of light when I was drained. He'd slide a sandwich my way after meetings, sneak a candy onto my desk during overtime. One evening, seeing me rub my stiff shoulder, he dragged me downstairs for a walk the instant we adjourned. Cameron, you'll wreck your neck if you sit that long. Half push, half pull. He wouldn't take no for an answer. The pocket park below the tower was carpeted with plane tree leaves that crunched beneath our feet. He walked beside me, his shadow stretched long by the street lamps. Cameron, what do you do to unwind? I blinked. Unwind? I hadn't thought about that in ages. Work, sleep, occasional run. He grimaced theatrically. Cameron, that's the saddest answer ever. Then he fished a candy from his pocket, peeled the wrapper, and popped it into my mouth. Sweet? Strawberry, like spring breeze on my tongue. I shot him a glare, but my mouth curved of its own accord. Leo, why do you always carry candy? He grinned, eyes twin crescents. Because Cameron needs a little sugar. My heart pounded, my cheeks burned. Natalie, don't be stupid, he's 24, 4 years younger. Yet the sweetness melted through me, achingly addictive. Mid-project, the company booked a weekend retreat at a hot spring lodge in the hills. I tried to beg off, but the team's excitement dragged me along. The lodge nestled between pines and water, the air thick with cedar. That night everyone fired up the grill on the lawn, laughter crackled louder than the coals. I sat to the side, nursing juice, watching flames dance. Leo appeared with a plate of skewers and offered me a golden chicken wing. Cameron, test my craft. The wing was crisp, dusted with cumin, fragrant. One bite, surprisingly perfect. Not bad, certifiable skills. Told you. Alex, I'll grill for you every day. The crowd hooted. Leo, favoritism much? Heat flooded my face, I focused on the wing. Leo only shrugged, shameless. Cameron's the boss, gotta keep the boss happy. Everyone roared, the night felt like July fireworks. I glanced up and found his gaze locked on me, bright with a silent promise. Cameron, I mean it. After dinner they dragged out truth or dare. I tried to slip away, but Vanessa latched onto my sleeve. Taylor, come on, one round. I gave in and joined the circle. The rule was simple. Draw the joker, answer, or pay the forfeit. Rounds passed, the buzz rising. My turn, joker. Vanessa's grin turned wicked. Taylor, truth or dare? Truth. She twirled a strand of hair. Taylor, is there someone you like right now? The question struck like a stone dropped in still water. Across the circle Leo cradled his cup, eyes resting on me. My pulse sprinted, my mouth answered without permission. No. The table erupted. Come on, Taylor, someone must be secretly in love with you. I smiled thinly and drained my juice. But Leo's gaze dimmed, he toyed with his cards, knuckles whitening. A pang of guilt tightened my chest. Natalie, what exactly are you afraid of? Afraid he's too young, afraid of new scars, afraid this warmth is only make-believe? Play continued. Next round, Leo drew the joker. Vanessa beamed. Leo, dare. Carry Taylor and jog a lap around the lawn. Cheers exploded. I waved both hands. Pass, pick something else. Leo was already on his feet, shrugging off his jacket to reveal a fitted black sweater. Cameron, game on? His smile dared me, reckless. Stung, I lifted my chin. Fine, game on. He stepped over, bent, and swept me into his arms. Solid arms, warm chest, a faint woody scent. Automatically I hooked my hands around his neck, my fingertips brushed his skin, burning. Leo, easy, I hissed it, heart drumming. His laugh fanned my ear. Hold tight, Cameron. He started to run, steady strides, wind whistling past. Firelight streaked by, distant laughter crashed like surf. I burrowed against his sweater, his heartbeat thudding beneath my cheek. Halfway, he slowed and looked down. Cameron, you're blushing. The low rasp tickled. I glared. It's the heat. He didn't argue, merely smiled like a cat full of cream. Back home, every thought was Leo. His grin, his arms, his husky hold tight. I lay staring at the ceiling, mind a mess. My phone lit. Leo. Cameron, did you have fun tonight? I hovered, thumbs frozen, finally typed yeah. Instant reply, next time I'll show you something even better. I silenced the screen and squeezed my eyes shut. But that night I dreamed of Leo, golden sunset, beach, his arms around me. Cameron, I like you. I jerked awake, heart thundering. Natalie, you've lost it. He's 24, don't you dare fall. Yet the sweetness clung like his strawberry candy, refusing to dissolve. The man I like? Leo's silhouette flashed through my mind, his smile, his tight embrace, his Cameron, you only need me. Mom was silent for a moment, her tone softening. Natalie, bring him home and let me meet him, okay? I swallowed the sourness in my throat. We'll see. I hung up, sank into the sofa, and closed my eyes. Leo, 24, architecture intern. Me, 28, finance CFO. We were two parallel lines that happened to cross, destined to diverge. So why does my heart sting like it's been pricked by needles every time I think of him? The next day I still went to the Shenyang Hotel, not for the arranged date, but to tell Mom face to face. The banquet hall blazed with light, guests in glittering gowns. I wore a white silk blouse and high-waisted black skirt, hair loose over my shoulders, aura icy. The moment I stepped in I ran into Shane. He was in charcoal suit, Jordan on his arm. Jordan's green gown glowed, her laugh loud as a peacock spreading its tail. Natalie, you're here too? Shane's eyes were complicated as he walked toward me. I stepped back and sneered, none of your business. Rowan drawled, Taylor, heard you're here for an arranged date? Got over Shane so fast? I was about to retort when a familiar voice cut in. Cameron, who are these two? Leo had appeared at my side, half-turned as if shielding me. Warmth surged in my chest. Leo, a friend. Shane's face darkened, sizing Leo up. Natalie, when did you pick up such a young friend? Leo smiled, respectful but unflinching. Cameron helped me, I'm grateful. Jordan sniffed. Grateful? Or ulterior motives? Fury flared, I was about to lash out when Leo gently pressed my hand. His palm was warm, a current seeping into my skin. Cameron, let's go over there. He steered me away, back straight as a windbreak. My heart pounded, nose stinging with sudden tears. Leo, why do you always show up when I'm at my worst? On stage, the Top Ocean chairman began praising his youngest son, but the heir never appeared, whispers rippled through the crowd. I didn't care. I stood in a corner, sipping juice, lost in thought. Leo came over with a slice of cake. Cameron, eat something sweet, you'll feel better. I took it and asked softly, why are you here? He scratched his head, bashful grin. I intern here, just came to gawk. Gawk? The excuse was so thin I almost laughed. I tasted the cake, the cream was cloying, yet it couldn't fill the hollow inside. Leo, do you think love is always fake? I spoke without thinking, voice barely audible. He paused, set down his plate, looked at me seriously. Cameron, love isn't fake, people just get it wrong. His voice was low, like night wind brushing my ear. My chest tightened, I met his gaze. His eyes were clear as a spring, reflecting my ragged self. Cameron, anyone who makes you cry doesn't deserve you. He hesitated, then softer, you deserve better. My nose burned, I lowered my head. Stop it, I'm fine. But those words struck sparks inside me. After the banquet Mom cornered me. Natalie, the air didn't come, but I booked you for next week. Don't be stubborn, okay? I drew a slow breath. Mom, I already have someone I like. Mom frowned. That Leo kid? I froze, she'd guessed right. Natalie, he's 24, no house, no car, what future is that? Her tone was a blade, carving my heart. Mom, I know what I'm doing. I walked away, legs heavy as lead. Back home I collapsed on the sofa, Leo's image flooding my mind, his smile, his warmth, his Cameron, you deserve better. But Mom's words were a pail of ice water, snuffing the fantasy. Natalie, you're not worthy of such clean affection. Days later the project wrapped. At the final meeting Leo gave me a gift, a hand-drawn notebook. On the cover he'd sketched me, white shirt, smiling beneath a plain tree like spring blossoms. Inside he'd written, Cameron, you're the best, don't let yourself be unhappy. The strokes were bold, like him, warm, steady. My nose stung, tears almost fell. Leo, this drawing is gorgeous. I kept my tone light to hide the turbulence. He grinned, eyes curving into crescents. Alex, I'll draw you again. After the session he walked me downstairs. The night wind was cool, sobering me. Cameron, the project's over, I have to head back to the firm. His voice was calm, but his eyes held reluctance. My heart lurched. Will we still see each other? He blinked, then smiled like a kid handed candy. Cameron wants me, just call. I nodded, watching him leave. His back was straight as a tree facing the gale, yet I felt something in me quietly slip away. That night I couldn't sleep. Leo filled my mind, his smile, the notebook, his Cameron, you deserve better. I opened WhatsApp to his chat, hesitated, typed, Leo, Casey. He replied instantly, Cameron, thanks for what? Need me, just holler. I stared at the screen, eyes wet. Natalie, what are you afraid of? Afraid he's too young, afraid he'll change, afraid you're not good enough? Yet my heart felt tugged until I couldn't breathe. A week later Mom's arranged date arrived on schedule. Same hotel, private room, just me and the top ocean air. Emery, 27, tailored suit, elegant manners. Avery, your mother says you're outstanding in finance. His smile was gentle as spring breeze. I nodded politely. Emery flatters me. But my mind wandered the whole time. Emery's smile lacked Leo's warmth, his words lacked Leo's honesty. I realized my heart was already crowded out by that 24-year-old boy. When the dinner ended Emery walked me to the lobby. Avery, I admire you, may I keep in touch? His tone was sincere, but his eyes missed something. I shook my head with a distant smile. Emery, Casey, but I'm in love with someone else. He nodded and left. I stood outside, the night wind cooled my cheeks. Natalie, you finally admitted it. You love Leo. But as I turned, a figure slammed into my sight. Leo stood under the street lamp, a bouquet of sunflowers in hand, eyes complicated. Cameron, you, on an arranged date? His voice was hoarse, restrained. My heart stuttered. No, I came to turn him down. He said nothing, watching me, eyes like a night sea, unfathomable. Cameron, you said you have someone you like? He asked softly, almost carried away by wind. I froze, pulse thundering. Yes, I heard myself answer, calm, definite. His gaze dimmed, a bitter smile tugged at his lips. Then he must be wonderful. My nose ached, the words burst out, Leo, it's you. He froze, as if unable to process. The sunflowers slipped from his hand, scattering gold across the ground. Cameron, say it again. His voice trembled like a child verifying candy. I stepped forward, picked up a bloom, lifted my eyes to him. Leo, I like you. His eyes ignited like fireworks across night sky. He pulled me into a tight embrace, so hard it felt he'd fuse me to his bones. Cameron, I've waited forever to hear that. His voice, muffled against my shoulder, was thick with tears. I wrapped my arms around his waist, tears scorching down like fire. In that instant I finally let every guard fall and embraced this belated love. But happiness is foam, beautiful, fragile. Next morning Mom called. Natalie, you rejected Emery yesterday, for that Leo? I inhaled slowly. Mom, I love him. Love? Mom sneered. He's 24, no house, no car, what kind of future is that? Mom, I don't want his money, I just want to be happy. Happy? Mom's voice shot up. Natalie, you're 28, not a little girl. Your families are worlds apart, he's not good enough for you. I squeezed my phone until the case creaked, a blade twisting in my chest. Mom, my life is mine to decide. I ended the call and collapsed onto the couch, tears streaming unchecked. Leo's smile, Leo's warmth, they were a shaft of light flooding my heart. but Mom's words were a knife, carving me open until I bled. A few days later, Leo asked me to sunset. He said he wanted to show me the sunset. The sea breeze tasted of salt, waves flinging themselves at the rocks. He wore a white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, bare feet sinking into the sand. "Cameron, do you like it here?" He handed me a chilled craft soda. I took it and nodded. "I love it." He tugged me down, the sand was warm, clinging to my skin the way his hands always did. "Cameron, there's something I need to tell you." His tone was serious, eyes as calm and fathomless as the ocean. My pulse skittered. "Say it." He pulled a small photo album from his pocket and held it out. "Open it." I flipped the cover. Every page was me. Me leading a board meeting, me wandering the park, me devouring chicken wings at a company retreat. Each shot carried his handwriting. Cameron's laugh is the prettiest sound. Even angry, Cameron is adorable. Cameron, I love you. I loved you the first second I saw you. My nose burned, tears splattered the photos. "Leo, why are you so foolish?" I lifted my gaze, voice cracking. He smiled, eyes glittering like stars. "Cameron, I'm not foolish. I just know meeting you was the luckiest moment of my life." He leaned in and brushed a kiss to my forehead. His lips were summer warm, soft yet unyielding. I shut my eyes, my heart hammered against my ribs. In that instant I forgot age, forgot pedigree, forgot every reservation. I knew only one truth: I love him, but reality struck like a dagger, shredding the dream. The next afternoon, Mom marched into my condo with Dad in tow. "Natalie, you insist on staying with that Leo?" Dad frowned. "Natalie, your mother's right. Leo's family is ordinary, marriage to him will only bring hardship." I drew a slow breath. "Dad, Mom, I love him." "Love?" Mom gave a cold laugh. "Love doesn't pay the bills. You're a businesswoman, maximize your assets." My eyes stung, but my voice stayed steady. "Mom, I'm not a machine. I have a heart." Mom slammed her palm on the coffee table. "If you insist on being with him, don't call me mother ever again." "Mom, don't force me." A sob escaped as tears slid down. Dad exhaled, took Mom's elbow, and steered her to the door. "Natalie, think it through." The moment it shut I crumpled to the floor, knees to chest, crying like a child. Leo's smile, Leo's album, they still glowed inside me. Yet my parents' disapproval towered like a mountain, crushing every breath. That night Leo showed up. He stood in the hallway holding a paper bag of my favorite barbecue skewers, smiling as if nothing were wrong. "Cameron, you must be starving, eat something hot." I looked at him, eyes brimming. "Leo, are we wrong for each other?" His smile froze, the bag nearly slipped. "What do you mean?" His voice was hoarse, restrained. I bit my lip, tears fell. "Mom forbids it. She says you're beneath me." He stared, eyes as dark and depthless as midnight water. "Cameron, do you believe I'm beneath you?" The words were whisper soft, yet they slashed my heart. I shook my head. "No. I'm just afraid we'll never make it." He strode forward and pulled me into a tight embrace, so fierce I felt my bones bend. "Cameron, I'm not afraid. I'm only afraid you'll give up on me." His voice trembled against my shoulder. I wrapped my arms around his waist, soaking his shirt with tears. "Leo, I'm terrified." He pressed a kiss to my hair. "Cameron, I'm here, don't be afraid." In that instant his warmth flooded every hollow space inside me. Night had turned thick, streetlights glowing amber. He drove while mellow jazz drifted from the speakers. I reclined in the passenger seat, eyes closed, his face the only image in my mind. "Cameron, are you okay?" His voice was feather gentle. I opened my eyes and shook my head. "I'm fine." He asked nothing more, only handed me a bottle of warm water. The heat seeped through the plastic like his own touch. I unscrewed the cap, swallowed, and the dryness in my throat eased. "Leo, Casey, you've stayed beside me the whole time." He grinned, eyes curving into crescents. "Cameron, someone as incredible as you still needs company?" His teasing coaxed a laugh from me, dispersing some of the gloom. He parked beneath my building. As I reached for the door, he stopped me. "Cameron, I need to tell you something." His tone turned grave, eyes star-bright. My pulse quickened. "Tell me." He inhaled deeply, voice low. "Cameron, I'm the youngest son of two a young group." I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "What?" He gave a rueful smile, ruffling his hair. "My mother was Secretary Emery's assistant. I'm illegitimate. Emery wants to acknowledge me, but I refused." He met my gaze. Cameron, I don't want your money or your pedigree, only you. Tears welled and spilled. Leo, why didn't you tell me sooner? He smiled, eyes shining. I was scared you'd think I was climbing. I lunged into his arms, clutching his waist, tears soaking his shirt. Leo, I love you. He froze, then hugged me so hard my ribs creaked. Cameron, I love you too. His voice cracked against my shoulder. At that moment I forgot every obstacle, age, status, everything. I knew only love. The following evening I took Leo home to my parents. Mom's face darkened the instant she saw him. Natalie, this is the man you claim to love? I drew a steady breath and laced my fingers through his. Mom, this is Leo. I love him. Leo straightened. Mrs. Vance, I'll cherish Natalie. Mom's laugh was icy. Cherish her? Your backgrounds are galaxies apart, what can you possibly offer? Before I could answer, Leo spoke first. Mrs. Vance, I'm Emery's youngest son. I lack neither money nor ability. All I want is Natalie's happiness. Mom stood speechless, Dad's brows rose. You're also Emery's child? Morgan, calm and clear. Yes, but I'd rather you accept me for who I am. Mom finally broke her silence, expression complicated. Fine. Your life, your choice. Tears blurred my vision as I squeezed Leo's hand. His answering grip was a river of warmth. 1 month later, Leo and I stood on sunset's powdery sand for our wedding ceremony. The sky blushed rose and gold, the horizon draped in glittering light. I wore a white wedding gown, arm tucked through his, smiling like a child. He wore an ivory tuxedo, gaze tender as starlight on water. I, Leo, choose to love Natalie for every tomorrow we're given. His vow was simple, yet it etched itself into my bones. I swallowed tears. So do I. Applause rolled like surf, but I saw only him. In that instant I knew I had finally found my home. After the reception we flew to Spain for our honeymoon. On a quiet cove he produced another photo album. Cameron, look. I opened it, every page still me, college days in a white button-down, board meetings in pencil skirts. Each bore his handwritten caption. Cameron, you are my light. I buried my face in his chest. Leo, why are you still so foolish? He laughed softly and kissed my forehead. I'm only foolish for you. The sun dipped low, gilding the waves. Nestled against him, I felt every hollow space overflow with warmth. From this day forward, dawn and dusk, years and seasons, we'll walk together until the sky itself burns out.
At the company banquet, the junior secretary got her period, and my husband kindly took the drink for her. I only felt nauseated. Right there in front of everyone, I called my lawyer and asked her to draft a divorce agreement, then turned and walked out. Julian's face darkened. He chased after me immediately. What are you making a scene about now? I just took one drink for her. Is that really so terrible? I ignored him, opened my phone, and posted a declaration of freedom on Instagram. Sorry, my marriage is mine to control. It was a company party celebrating Julian's landing of a huge project. I knew how much face meant to him, so I'd made sure to invite plenty of CEOs. Julian is allergic to alcohol. At our wedding, he hadn't touched a single sip of wedding champagne, so I had knocked back every toast on his behalf. But I drunk far too much, and I was hunting for an antacid when I saw Julian stand up and intercept the glass meant for his assistant. Blair's on her period today. This one's on me. Then, under the gaze of the whole room, Julian tossed back the entire cup of grain liquor in one go. The sight sent my stomach heaving. I spun around and left. Julian followed at once, grabbing my arm. This is my promotion dinner. Could you not embarrass me? Every employee turned to stare at me, then shifted their eyes to Blair. It was as if they'd long known the two were sleeping together. Whispers broke out everywhere. I heard Mr. Sterling never drinks, yet he actually broke his rule for Blair. Look, his face is already flushing after one shot. Classic allergy reaction, and he still downed it for her. Yeah, Mrs. Sterling always insists on shielding him, and we thought she was being thoughtful. Turns out it was all. Their chatter sank my heart to the floor. I tried to wrench free, but Julian's grip was iron. Serena, Blair's on her period. She can't drink. 1 glass for her. What's the big deal? The Besides, half this deal is her work. Letting you stand here at all is me saving your pride. Hilarious. I'd run around pulling every string to elevate him from VP to Mr. Sterling, and now it was magically her achievement. I smirked inside and flicked my gaze to Blair. Her eyes were already red. She lowered her head timidly, tears dripping onto the table. Mr. Sterling, don't be angry. It's my fault I got my period and made you take that drink. Swallowing my rage, I spoke coldly. Blair, is flirting with my husband in front of all these people really appropriate? She gave the crowd an innocent stare, stood and answered. Mrs. Sterling, Mr. Sterling and I are just boss and assistant. I can't drink. He only stepped in so the mood wouldn't die. If seeing us together bothers you, I'll resign right now. With that, she grabbed her jacket and turned to leave. Julian shoved me aside and hurried after her. Blair, we're completely above board. If you leave now, people will gossip. He pulled her into his arms and murmured comforts. Blair let 2 perfect tears slide down. Mr. Sterling, I shouldn't have let you drink for me. Don't blame Mrs. Sterling. Watching her, Julian's heart ached. He settled her back in her chair, then strode toward me, face like ice. Apologize. My expression cracked. Pain knifed through me. I bit out each word. Not one chance. Before I could react, he slapped me hard across the left cheek. The force hurled me to the carpet. The metallic taste of blood coated my lip. I stared up at Julian in disbelief. He didn't even look back, only returned to soothe Blair. At the sight, a bitter smile twisted my mouth. Ignoring the sting, I pushed myself up, phoned my lawyer, and asked her to prepare the divorce papers. I walked unsteadily over to Julian and said quietly, Julian, we're done. He answered coldly, Serena, I'd behave if I were you. Don't forget who lifted you to where you are. Back then, I knocked on every door for his project. Never imagined it would end like this. I left the building. A misting rain drifted down. Through the hazy glass, I saw the brightly lit hall. Julian's arm around Blair's shoulders, champagne raised as if to toast my eviction. Numb, I headed home, still half believing it was a nightmare. Julian beat me there. When I opened the door, the reek of perfume hit me first, his hair disheveled, a smear of lipstick on his tie. He leaned against the jamb, allergy rash blotching his skin. The moment he saw me, he pulled me close. Serena, I was wrong tonight. Blair's done so much for me. I only wanted to do something for her. Don't blame her. She talks tough, but she's soft inside. There's no need to escalate this. I sneered inwardly, shoved away the nausea, and pushed him off.
Fine.
If you love doing favors for people, do one for me tomorrow. He agreed, without hesitation. Next morning, I waited on the sofa. The divorce agreement lay opposite him. When he woke and saw it, his face chilled. Serena, what's this? I calmed you down last night. Now you're acting up again? Calmly I replied, you said you'd do me one favor today. Sign the papers and set the 2 of you free. He snapped. I keep telling you, she's only my secretary. Nothing happened. Still cold, I answered, sighing. Julian snatched the agreement and tore it in half, furious. Divorce? Don't even think about it. Without a word, I pulled out a second copy and placed it in front of him. If you still need more dirt, I've got plenty. Also, if you won't sign it, I'll file suit and accuse you of cheating while we were married. He actually laughed, then looked at me with dripping scorn. You have proof? Don't forget, when the Vance family was flat broke, I'm the one who dragged you back from the cliff. Without my help, you might not even be alive today. Serena, threats don't work on me. Behave yourself. His phone rang. He answered, glanced at me with a guilty twitch, and murmured something unmistakably flirtatious to whoever was on the line. I knew it was Blair. He slammed the door and drove straight to the headquarters. My own phone rang. When I saw the caller ID, my mouth crooked into a smile. "Ms. Vance, everything you asked for is ready." I grunted and ended the call. I'd planned to walk out immediately, but then I remembered the competitor analyses I'd compiled, files that could wipe out half our rivals at a stroke. When I reached my office, I saw the CAD blueprints and proprietary deck I'd revised through countless all-nighters, all so Julian could claim the top seat. In the end, they were nothing but a punchline everyone used to mock me. Since I wouldn't be staying, keeping them was pointless. I scooped up every document and set the whole pile ablaze. Half of it was already ash when Julian burst in. "Serena, have you lost your mind? I need that for the product keynote. You just torched my presentation." I gave a cold laugh. "That's right, I've lost it. Why not? I burned the midnight oil to build those. They're mine, and I'll burn them if I want." While he fought the flames, he yanked out whatever hadn't caught yet. "You think you built this alone? Everything at the headquarters belongs to everyone. It's a shared victory. So, what if you organized it?" Blair explained every slide to the whole team. "You only made it. She made it matter." The words left me bitterly amused. Apparently, the person who merely builds something is worthless. The mouth that presents it walks away the hero. She already explained it, didn't she? Let her keep explaining. For you, forever. Julian's face froze for a second, but his hands never stopped moving. "Serena, if your tantrum keeps us from finishing the year-end keynote, I won't forgive you. Your seat here is disposable. Someone else will warm it." With that, Blair rushed in, grabbed my hand, and dissolved in tears. "Ms. Vance, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have stolen your work. If you leave, the headquarters will collapse." Julian instantly folded her into his arms and dabbed at her cheeks. "It's just paperwork," he soothed. "I'll have a new deck copied overnight." Blair sobbed louder and begged me to stay. Julian couldn't bear it. "Emery, you can see she's on her knees. Do we literally have to get on our knees before you quit this drama?" Looking at the two of them, you'd think they were the married couple. "Fine. On your knees, both of you, and I'll consider staying." Blair actually started to kneel, but Julian yanked her back up. "Emery, don't push this. It won't end well for any of us." Suddenly, Blair turned to Julian. "Mr. Sterling, I left something in your office. Could you get it for me?" The instant he was gone, her tear-soaked face twisted into something venomous. She seized my wrist and hissed in my ear. "Your husband tastes delicious, by the way. And the car he gave me? One of a kind in Eastbrook. Don't worry, Ms. Vance. If you behave, maybe he'll toss you the keys to an e-scooter as a reward." I tried to wrench free. She let out a shriek and toppled backward. The scream brought the whole floor running. Julian sprinted back, saw Blair on the carpet, and slapped me without asking a single question. "Serena, you bitch," attacking her the moment my back is turned. He crouched beside Blair, checking for injuries. "Blair, are you okay?" She played the waif perfectly. "Mr. Sterling, I've tried so hard. Maybe Mrs. Sterling just can't stand me." He stroked her hair. "We all adore you, don't we, team?" Choruses of approval followed. "Thanks to you, we closed that contract in one shot, Blair. Unlike some people who'd love to tear the company apart." Emboldened, Blair shot me a smirk that said the headquarters already belonged to her. Then Julian ushered her to the hospital, never once looking back. I limped to my feet and out the gate. At home, I packed, laid the signed divorce papers on the coffee table, and dialed without hesitation. "Dad, I'm in. I'll fly to Australia tomorrow. But before I leave, they still deserve one last surprise." When Julian brought Blair back and found my desk empty, she murmured, "Mr. Sterling, if Ms. Vance is gone, What happens to our keynote? Julian thought for a moment, then called me. I'd already blocked his number. After endless failed calls, he left a voicemail. Serena, stop this tantrum. I bought you a gift. After the keynote, we'll start fresh, just you and me. I had already believed him countless times, but this time I would not turn back. So I left him a message. Get lost. Then I blocked every way he could reach me. When Julian realized he couldn't get through it all, he started having my employees contact me. Predictably, none of them could reach my phone either. To head off any harassment, I'd already swapped out my handset and SIM card long before. Seeing that no one could find me, Julian began to panic. He knew that, with only the files I hadn't torched, they could never deliver the product keynote. So he sent people scouring every corner of Eastbrook, unaware I'd already changed my name. Even if they flipped the whole city upside down, they would never discover where I was. Useless. Every last one of you. I keep you on payroll, and you can't even locate one woman. Julian jabbed a finger at the lineup in front of him and paced, frantic. Blair walked over and tried to soothe him. Mr. Sterling, a grown woman can't just vanish into thin air. Maybe she's deliberately throwing us off. Julian reined in his impatience, turned, and pulled Blair's head against his chest. Blair, don't worry. I swear I'll put you in the VP seat. Blair gave a soft hum, and the two of them kissed. No one expected the kiss to keep catching fire. They stumbled all the way down to the underground garage and threw themselves into Blair's car, bodies urgent, the vehicle bouncing in rhythm. From the shadows, someone recorded every second on a phone. Minutes later, the clip landed on my screen, indisputable proof they'd cheated. I watched the full runtime and felt absolutely nothing. The headquarters was about to hold its big press briefing, yet the core proprietary deck had been reduced to ash by my hand. Unable to reach me, Julian shoved members of my department on stage to speak, but they didn't understand the material. The heart of the presentation was locked inside those files. Everything Blair had recited was merely my meticulously copied notes. She had no ability to explain the concepts herself. He tried to contact me like a madman, yet every call sank into silence. That night, I sent someone to hand him an encrypted flash drive with the message, "Your parting gift, every last corporate secret." Julian was surprised, but assumed I couldn't bear to let the company's hard work go to waste. Once the drive was in his grip, his confidence boomed, and he messaged me at once. Serena, you just want a divorce, right? I'll email you the papers tomorrow. Laughing, he slipped an arm around Blair and bragged, see? Serena's my doormat. I crook a finger, and she comes running. What he didn't know was that the drive held no data, only the highlight reel of him and Blair in action. Meanwhile, I was already belted into a night flight bound for Australia. On board, I watched the live stream with the mused attachment. The product keynote began right on schedule, the live stream up and running. Julian held the flash drive, his face relaxed and cocky, certain he still controlled the script. I knew he only wanted me to finish the keynote so Sterling Industries could rocket sky high. But I'd vaccinated the presentation against that outcome. As the briefing rolled on, it finally reached Sterling Industries' segment. The stream's viewer count had surged past 100,000. Julian launched into the core content. Because every slide had been forged by my sleepless nights, the rollout looked flawless. Facing the cameras, he vowed to take the company's products global. Entrepreneurs in the hall were instantly fired up. One CEO shouted, "I'm in for a 20% equity stake to cement our partnership. I'll go 50. Count me too. I'll become a wholly owned subsidiary." Seeing the momentum, Julian swaggered. "Stick with me, and I'll rocket you straight to number 501 on the fortune list." Watching my life's work get hijacked left a bitter taste. Julian even credited every breakthrough to Blair. Without her beside me, None of this would exist. She's been my silent strength. Blair clung to his arm, drinking in the spotlight like champagne. At that moment, the comment overlay went berserk. A great man always has a virtuous woman behind him. I need a wife like that. Career on fire, marriage on fire, goals. I want to marry a man with that kind of drive. I stared at the screen, stunned that people could be that nauseating. My phone buzzed. Serena, when are you landing? I've set everything up in Australia. Bought you an entire office floor. I answered, then added, Dad, I don't want Sterling Industries to survive in this country any longer. I ended the call. The timing was perfect. On the giant screen, the slides dissolved into Julian and Blair's cheating video. Julian lunged to kill the projector, while Blair flushed scarlet from hairline to heels. The room erupted. Whispers turned to roars. Mr. Sterling's married, isn't he? Since when do you bed your PA? The comment overlay exploded as well. CEO cheats with secretary. Who'd trust a guy like that? Shameless. Adulterers should be erased. As outrage snowballed, shoes and water bottles arced toward the stage. Fighting for control, Julian stepped forward and declared, Serena and I have been divorced for ages. He even brandished the stamped divorce papers. By then, my plane had touched down in Australia. A welcoming committee surrounded me the moment I cleared customs, bowing respectfully. Their leader spoke first. Miss Vance, we're here to take you home under orders. I pressed my fingers to my temple. Why the fanfare? I'm not a toddler. The old man's afraid you'll change your mind, so we're to keep an eye on you, just in case you try to run back. I went back with them to the villa where my father was staying. The moment he saw me, he stood up to greet me. Serena, you've finally come around. If you'd stayed away any longer, these old bones of mine, Jamie, would have fallen apart. Looking at my father's salt and pepper hair, the way he limped as he walked, the corners of my eyes stung with tears. 3 years ago, Dad had wanted me to settle in Australia and quietly take over his businesses. But I hadn't wanted to be tied down then. I'd been determined to go back Eastbrook and build something of my own. Soon after, I met Julian. At the start, he helped me look for jobs. To thank him, I tapped the last of my contacts in Australia. I helped him climb, and once he reached the top, he tossed me aside. Dad had caught wind of it back then and told me the man was no good, but how could someone halfway across the world know what Julian was really like? It turned out the majority shareholder had stayed in touch with Dad the whole time, watching my back from the shadows. He'd learned that Julian was using equity stakes to line his own pockets and selling off company assets. I hadn't believed it then. Only now had Julian finally shown his true colors. I threw my arms around Dad, and the dam inside me broke. Dad, I'm never leaving again. I'll stay right here with you. He answered gently, Serena, this has always been your home. The next few days, I traveled all over Australia, trying to forget the unhappiness I'd left behind. Meanwhile, back at Qixing headquarters, Mr. Sterling, our market cap has dropped 30% because of the fallout from the product keynote. Most of our partners are demanding to pull their investment. If we don't act, we're heading for bankruptcy. Julian had been run ragged for days. With crisis PR going nowhere, he threw every resource he had into finding me. Turn the city upside down if you have to. Bring her back. Blair murmured at his side. Julian, I scratched my car yesterday. Could you? Julian's irritation flared across his face. Fine, I'll get it fixed tomorrow. She shook her head and slipped her arm through his. No, I want the new model. You can keep the old one after it's repaired. Julian spun around, incredulous, and shook her off. Blair, look at the state the company is in. Do you seriously think I can buy you a car right now? Blair pouted. But you still have equity stakes. That should cover it. Julian jabbed a finger at her. I thought you cared about the company. Turns out you only care about the payout. I don't have a single dollar to my name. Go ask whoever you want." He slammed the office door and stalked out of the building. As the scandal snowballed and the largest shareholder vanished, Qixing began its free fall. "Mr. Senior, I've already pulled my investment. Let Qixing rot." An elderly voice replied slowly, "Serena's suffered enough. If we don't teach them a lesson, we'll fail her again." Julian returned home, hoping to find some trace I'd left behind. My bedroom was stripped bare. Even the wedding photo on the nightstand lay shattered. He picked up the cracked frame and stared at the ruins, the place suddenly foreign to him. They had once stretched every dollar to trade a tiny apartment for a villa, a narrow yard for a tower. The memory hit him like a slap. He rushed to his own room and dug out a journal. Back when we first met, I'd told him my story. He had listened so intently he'd written it all down. He smacked his forehead. "Why didn't I think of this sooner?" Then he dialed. "Book me the next flight to Australia, Jamie." Blair shoved the door open, fury on her face. "Julian, what about me if you run off to Australia? I'll bring Serena back and return. Just wait here. You promised I'd be Mrs. Sterling once she was gone. Why chase her now?" Julian looked at her twisted expression and lost the will to argue. "Move. Don't push me." Certain he wouldn't touch her, Blair threw her arm across the doorway. Julian shoved her aside and climbed into the cab without a backward glance. Blair stumbled after him in tears, slipped, and crashed to the pavement. Alex Drive. At the airport, his phone rang. "Julian, I'm bleeding. Please come back and take me to the hospital." He gripped the phone, hesitated, then called emergency services and boarded the plane. Under his breath, he prayed, "Serena, please wait for me." "Blair, you've been on that horse all day. When are you getting off?" Since arriving in Australia, I hadn't felt this free in ages. Endless grassland stretched before me, wildlife flitting everywhere. My mood finally lifted. Whoa. I slid off Jamie and realized this was the life I'd truly wanted. For Julian, I'd bowed my head, always putting him first, groveling in the dust. Dad read my thoughts and came over. "Serena, stop overthinking. Ride wherever you like, clear your head." Only when I looked past him did I notice the car. The man stepping out was Julian. At the sight of him, no disappointment or sorrow crossed my face. Whatever he had become meant nothing to me. I didn't care why he had come. I was already free. I kept adjusting the saddlebag, never lifting my eyes. "Serena, I was wrong," blinded for a moment. "I finally understand. You're what matters most. You took every drink for me at those banquets. You were the one backing me, asking for nothing. If you can forgive me, let's start over. A new home, a chubby baby boy, the three of us living a quiet life." Julian spoke to me with full-throated emotion, tears streaming from the corners of his eyes. But I'd watched this performance too many times to feel anything. I answered slowly, "Julian, whatever bond we had snapped long ago. Out of courtesy for the years we were married, I left you one storefront under the headquarters." He reached for my hand. I stepped aside and kept his fingers from brushing mine. Dad started to speak, but I stopped him. Whatever lay between Julian and me, we would finish it ourselves. If you came for me, don't bother. If you came for the company, the division I left you is the largest favor I will ever extend. I no longer have anything to do with any of you. Whether you live or die is no longer my concern." Julian tried again to keep me, but Dad ushered him out. To earn my forgiveness, he dropped on your knees outside the gate and stayed there a full day and night. Yet when I finally walked out, Julian was gone. Blair was kneeling in his place. The moment she saw me, she crawled forward and clutched my ankle. "Serena, where's Julian?" "He came to find you. I'm pregnant." I can't let my baby be born without a father. Please tell me where he is. I stared at the scene, baffled, and answered honestly. I don't know. She didn't believe me. She snarled. Impossible. He flew here yesterday. How could he vanish? You've hidden him to punish me. Watching her unravel, I felt only resignation. Blair, you set this fire. If you'd drawn a line in the first place, you wouldn't end up ashes. You brought every bit of this on yourself. She burst into wild laughter, her mind slipping its hinges. Ha! Yes, blame me. If I hadn't seduced him, none of this would have happened. Her voice rose, sanity cracking. Suddenly her eyes locked on me, sharp as shattered glass. Serena, because of you, I'll take your life. She whipped a small blade from her waist and drove it toward my chest. I jerked backward. The first thrust missed, but my heel skidded and I crashed to the ground. She lunged again. I knew I couldn't dodge, so I shut my eyes. Long seconds passed. No pain came. I opened my eyes to see Julian collapsed in front of me, the knife buried in his right chest. Blair recoiled, shocked that Julian had taken the blow meant for me. Trembling, she crouched beside him, wanting to pull the blade free yet afraid, staring at him in helpless panic. Julian, I'm sorry, I never meant to stab you. Sorry. Julian's lips were bloodless. He spoke in a threat of voice. Blair, the fault was mine. But if this spares Serena, I'll gladly carry the wound. Dad arrived then, stepped in front of me, checked me for injuries, and only relaxed when he found none. Julian turned his gaze on me and smiled, weight finally sliding from his shoulders. Serena, I wronged you more times than I can count. One lifetime won't balance the books, but knowing you're safe is enough. His eyes fluttered shut and he passed out. We called the police, then the paramedics. Because Julian had been hurt saving me, Dad covered every medical bill while he was treated in Australia. Blair was charged with assault. Her trial was set for 3 months later. 4 months after that, I floated Aurora Holdings on the Sydney Exchange. Within half a year, its market cap exploded, making it the largest listing in the region. Julian lay in his hospital bed, staring at the ceiling with hollow eyes. When he saw me enter, hope flared. He tried to rise, but pain twisted his face. Without a word, I placed the wedding band I had long since removed on his bedside table. Serena, will you ever forgive me? Loss filled his voice as he searched my face. From the night you took the drink for Blair, we became impossible. I won't settle for a marriage that's already cracked. Desolation swept across his features. Tears slipped unchecked. I turned and walked away. For the 2 months of his convalescence, I never visited again. Once healed, he left Australia without argument and went back to Eastbrook. He wrote letter after letter. I tossed each unread into the fire and watched them burn. His career nosedived. The hangers-on drifted away. Eventually, he sold the company, donated every cent of the proceeds, trying to buy peace for his conscience. Blair's indictment shocked her so badly that she miscarried. In the end, she lost the child. On a headquarters trip, I returned to Eastbrook. The tower that had been Sterling Industries now wore a stranger's logo, the lobby unrecognizable. I heard by chance that Julian had become director of an orphanage. He said he'd never had a son of his own, so he would give parentless children the love he'd missed giving. I smiled at the news, finally free. Before I left, I wired $1 million anonymously to the orphanage. May those children teach him to look past old wounds and toward whatever horizon is left. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If it moved you, like and share, and drop your thoughts below. Subscribe for more. See you next time.
My husband kept 2 cars in his private fleet, a Mercedes and a Porsche.
He usually drove the Mercedes to Sterling, while the Porsche sat in the private garage most of the time. Yet every other week he took the Porsche out and didn't come home until very late. One night he came home wasted and left the keys in the car. I opened the door and found a family of 4 photo clipped to the passenger side visor. That was when I understood, under the banner of Dink he had lied to me for 10 years. I speed-dialed Connor. You and Mom and Dad were right, help me sell the company. During the 10 years of our marriage I had been the one who held more power. I admit that at times I was autocratic and rarely listened to anyone else. But that was mostly inside Sterling. At home I believed I had been a virtuous wife. As long as nothing was seriously wrong, I generally let my husband make the decisions. Whatever he wanted to buy, I agreed. Back then he said he wanted to be Dink so he could love me without anything holding him back. I ignored my parents' objections and said yes. Now, staring at that happy photo in the car, half my heart turned to ice. The man in the picture was my husband. The sweet-faced woman I recognized, too, his assistant Brielle. And there were the twins, boy and girl, looking about 6 or 7, which meant that for at least 7 of our 10 married years he had been living a double life. After a momentary daze I slid the photo back exactly where it had been. Choking down rage, I called Connor and asked him to unload the company. The firm had been my dowry, my parents gave it to me at our wedding. Their purpose was simple, make sure I had enough leverage. Even if we fought or filed for divorce one day, I wouldn't be left empty-handed. I thought for a second and replied, price it however you think best. I want cash within 7 days. Got it. If you run into trouble, come stay at my place first. Such an ordinary sentence, yet my eyes burned. Though I often visited our parents, I no longer spent whole days glued to them. They never said anything, only because they didn't want to bother me. It didn't mean they didn't miss me. Fighting back tears I asked, Connor, if I get divorced, will you look down on me? A brief silence, then Connor answered quietly, never. That night I slept in the guest suite and locked the door behind me. Nathaniel, now sober, knocked again and again. When I refused to open, he decided I was being irrational. At dawn I didn't make breakfast as usual. Nor did I lay out his suit, and he exploded at me. What the hell are you playing at? You started this last night. I didn't even lift my head. Nothing in particular. Life just feels pointless. Nathaniel froze, frowning in disbelief. He knew I never talked back. All I had ever wanted was to keep our home perfect, to be the woman behind him. In return, I'd been rewarded with years of betrayal. Are you sick? Should I drive you to the hospital? His voice softened, the same gentle tone he used whenever I felt ill. It almost tricked me into believing he still loved me. I shook my head. You're imagining things. I'm fine. So you just woke up hating my guts? His voice chilled, patience thinning. That about sums up our real marriage. Before, I had told myself it was work stress making him like this. I had begged him to let me come back to Sterling, but he insisted he could handle everything alone. I answered flatly, exactly. I can't stand the sight of you. Ha. I kill myself out there every day, entertaining clients, drinking myself into the hospital, bleeding ulcers, and for what? I felt no sympathy. For your mistress and your 2 children. He didn't flinch, plainly he'd seen this moment coming. Sitting back on the sofa, he asked calmly, so you found the photo in my car? I thought you'd at least throw a tantrum. Guess I overestimated you. When 2 people can't even be bothered to argue, the relationship is already dead. But I never expected his moral compass to be so warped. Far from repenting, he doubled down. Brielle and he were nothing serious, he claimed, just a drunken accident that snowballed. And if I wished, I could step in as the twins' mother. I could make up for the children I'd never have, and they'd support me in old age. I stared at him, unable to believe what I was hearing. Let his mistress's children call me mom? Let them bury me one day? Did you even think how that would make me feel? I am thinking of you, that's why I'm offering. How considerate. Spare me. I refused outright. Nathaniel frowned. What's wrong with that? Raising that woman's children would only make me sick. You. He jabbed a finger at me, shouting, how can you say something so vicious? In your memory, I'm cultured, right? Well, refined doesn't mean gutless, and it sure doesn't mean I'll swallow anything you dish out. The mask was off. I no longer owed him courtesy. For the first time in our home, I laid down the law. My usual tenderness had evaporated the instant I learned the truth. I told you it was an accident. I love you. If you want this marriage to survive, you'll force yourself to get along with Logan and Bella. His voice was arctic, the command tone raising my hackles. I challenged him, and if I refuse, then we're finished. He actually threatened me with that, as if life without him were impossible. I sighed. You really misunderstand who I am. What? He furrowed his brow. The difference in our families meant I was always marrying down. I'll do just fine without you. My answer made Nathaniel laugh. You have no idea how hopeless you are at real life. So that's your excuse for cheating? If you insist on putting it that way, I've got nothing to say. Fine, then let's divorce. I'd imagined saying it 100 times last night. When the words finally left my mouth, they sounded calmer than I'd expected. Nathaniel's eyes, on the other hand, were pure disbelief. He gave a short, mocking laugh. Divorce? Without me, Victoria, you're nothing. I used to think this man was responsible, both in business and in love. Now I see how well he'd hidden his true colors. If I hadn't seen those photos in the car today, I'd never have believed he'd already betrayed me. And betrayal is my hard line. Once crossed, there's no forgiveness. Nathaniel glanced at his watch and said indifferently, I'm off to work. Go cool off. If I get the chance tonight, I'll bring Logan and Bella home so you can meet them. I ignored him, offering only a self-mocking smile. How many more times do I have to say it? Betrayal in love is like a crack in the heart. No matter what you try, it'll never be whole again. Better to cut it clean than drag it out. That afternoon Connor called. Victoria, I've found a buyer, $500 million. The number stunned me. It was far higher than I'd expected. I needed cash fast, so I hadn't priced it at market value. Yet $500 million was above even the normal asking price. Next step, meet the buyer and sign the stock transfer documents. I hold 65% of Sterling, Nathaniel holds the remaining 35%. My parents gave me the company and divvied up the shares. Without that gift, I'd have nothing left. By 6 p.m. it was all wrapped up. When I reached home, I found 3 unfamiliar pairs of shoes in the foyer, 2 tiny sets, and 1 pair of women's stilettos. I had a good idea who'd arrived. Nathaniel had more nerve than I'd thought. He brought his mistress here without my consent. Sorry, Victoria, I didn't even call first, Brielle said. She was petite, features delicate. Her nervous tone made her seem pitifully sweet. I glanced at Nathaniel on the sofa. He said nothing, so I only muttered, whatever, and started upstairs. Suddenly the twins chorused, Hi, Mommy Vance. I never agreed to be your mother. Don't call me that. The words ignited Nathaniel's temper. He slammed the coffee table. You can ignore Brie, but the kids? They're saying hello. And what do you expect? Open arms for the babies you had while cheating. I smiled coldly. Remember what you promised on our wedding day. That day he said he didn't want children. Swore he'd never regret it, never blame me when we were old. I actually liked kids, but I loved him more. Looking back, the woman who said yes to him seems like an idiot. I won't pretend I don't regret it, but showing it now would only give Brielle a show. Nathaniel's voice was low. So what do we do? I brought them to fix this. No, you're not fixing anything, you're dumping it on me. Brielle jumped in. Victoria, it's not like that. I know I'm wrong, I broke your family. I came to apologize, truly. 4 words summed her up, world-class act. If I hadn't observed her at the office now and then, I'd have softened. So, how much did he promise you? Planning to squeeze me too? Before she could answer, I added, too bad for you, 3 hours ago Sterling had a new owner. I'm no fool, I know her game. Use the kids as leverage, get her payout, then fly off. Unload the burden, why not? Only Nathaniel is naive enough to believe Brielle made some huge sacrifice for us. I could already hear him. What mother doesn't love her children? I could tell him for sure, Brielle doesn't love hers, but I couldn't be bothered. Brielle's face changed color. Nathaniel stared, stunned. What did you just say? I sold the company. From now on, none of it concerns me. You're joking, right? He couldn't believe I'd do something so ruthless. A company we'd built for over a decade, sold just like that? Brielle's eyes flickered. Victoria, that's not funny. When there are no shares for you, of course it isn't funny. What shares? I don't know what you mean. She wouldn't admit it, but her voice wavered. What else could she want? I kept my tone even. You, sterling equity? You wormed your way in for a slice of sterling, didn't you? Maybe you hoped I'd hand every share to your children? Shallow, so shallow. Nathaniel barked, disbelieving. He thought it monstrous that I'd say such things in front of kids. But I'd meant them to hear. From the moment I walked in, their eyes had shot daggers, hostile, disgusted. Yet the second Nathaniel told them to greet me, they flipped to smiles. Kids that age, does that even add up? That's right, I'm that shallow. Happy now? I turned to head back to the guest suite and pack. I couldn't spend one more second in this house. But the two kids blocked me, forcing me to apologize. When I ignored them, they wouldn't let it go. The girl even pretended to hug my arm, then used the momentum to fling herself several yards away. She sat on the floor, fighting back tears. You can hit me, scream at me, but you're not allowed to bully my mom. The boy joined in, yelling, yeah, don't you dare bully mom. I thought how pitiful these twins were. Brielle was ready to sell you off for cash and a ticket out of here, and you're still defending her. From now on, you take your sunlit road and I'll take my single plank bridge. We owe each other nothing. That was the last scrap of dignity I was giving Nathaniel. After 10 years of marriage, I didn't want it to end in total war. But I never expected Nathaniel to stand, walk to the foyer alone, quietly flip the deadbolt, then turn and warn me word by word, without my say-so, you're not leaving this house. His eyes had changed, sharper than I'd ever seen. He was ready to fight to the bitter end, no turning back. My stomach dropped. You plan to keep me prisoner? Nathaniel answered coldly, you leave me no choice. 35% equity sounds like a lot. Next to the majority shareholder, it's only window dressing. Worse, I don't even know the new majority investor's name, let alone what makes him tick. If he's difficult, every year I've invested goes up in smoke. The biggest difference between Nathaniel and me: power trumps everything. He loves running the company like his private kingdom. And since I don't hold an executive seat, everyone answers to him alone. Dropping in now means every deal I've ever made evaporates overnight. What you're doing is illegal. I know, but I'm out of options. Nathaniel dares because he's spent years sure of my forgiveness. He thinks if he just lowers his voice and plays nice, I'll pardon any sin. He's wrong, this time, never. Brielle quits pretending too, glaring at me. Her eyes look ready to swallow me whole. After all, her prey is slipping away. She'll never net a jackpot like this again. Think carefully, you still had 35% to burn. The second an abduction charge sticks, my life is over. I'm stalling. Tonight Connor is picking me up. If I don't show, he'll know something's wrong. I never expected Nathaniel's eyes to redden, his face twisting as he snarled, better than you selling the company. It's already sold, locking me up changes nothing. It changes everything, you're my bargaining chip. The instant he said it, I realized. I'm not the real target. Neither is the firm we built together. It's my parents he's after, leverage. What are you planning? I demanded. Even knowing the answer, I could scarcely believe it. Never thought he'd dare aim at my mother and father. Nathaniel gave a cold laugh. Relax, I won't do anything too extreme, we are married, after all. I won't hurt you, I just need you to stay home, that's all. House arrest is still unlawful. Like I said, we're husband and wife. Even if I keep you here a few days, what will the police say? This Nathaniel is a stranger, utterly different from the gentleman I remember. I don't know if time changed him or if the mask just slipped. All I can do is find a way to reach the outside world. The moment I pulled out my phone, Brielle snatched it, smashed it to the floor, and stomped until it was scrap. Then she reminded me, remember your place. Try that again and you'll regret it. Tell me, how long have you two been plotting this? I'm not stupid, this wasn't spur of the moment. Nathaniel shrugged. We wanted to force you to hand over your shares. Plans change, now it depends on how generous your parents feel. He's an orphan, raised in foster care, so the parents he's talking about are mine. I warned him through clenched teeth, you have no right to call them that, no right to be their son-in-law. Really? Shacked up with me for 10 years anyway, didn't you? He seized my hair, dragging me toward the bedroom. I fought with everything I had, but I couldn't break free. He hauled me across the floor, all the way to the bedroom door. The second we were inside, I cursed him for the scum he was. Without a word he slapped me. Shut your mouth and stay put. The blow stunned me, my cheek blazed. Before I could speak, the door slammed shut behind me with a decisive click. Nathaniel and Brielle's original scheme was to chip away at my equity, seize total control, then kick me to the curb. They never expected me to uncover their secret, or that I'd be stubborn enough to sell sterling without warning. Locking me up to blackmail my parents is their last-ditch pivot. Back in the living room, Nathaniel told the twins to play in the backyard. Brielle whispered, Connor, are you sure her parents will even care? In 10 years, my mother and father have never set foot in this house. They showed up once, on our wedding day, to hand me the company as a gift. Nathaniel wasn't certain. We gamble. The odds look decent. Once we have the cash, we vanish. I heard every word from the bedroom. I glanced at the wall clock and smiled. Almost time, my rendezvous with Connor. Before leaving, I'd told him, if I'm not at the restaurant tonight, something's happened. I lay on the bed, tracing the ceiling cracks until I drifted off. The next thing I knew, pounding on the front door jolted me awake. I checked the time, 7:30 sharp. It meant a full half hour had slipped past the agreed time. The door swung open. Nathaniel, feigning calm, asked, You're Connor, Victoria's brother? I remember you. Where's Victoria? Connor, cut straight to the point. Victoria? She said she was grabbing lunch, left about 30 minutes ago. She went out. Seeing my skepticism, he smiled. Just call her. She took her phone, it should ring. He said it without a flicker of guilt, only a habitual liar could manage that. I raised my hand to knock, then the world lurched. A dizzy spin seized my brain, I couldn't even stand, let alone yell for help. Why was this happening? I glanced around and noticed wisps of pale smoke curling above the vanity, so faint they were colorless, scentless. I yanked open the jewelry drawer, a slim taper burned there, slow and steady. That's when I knew Nathaniel had set me up. He'd guessed I'd come in confident, so he'd staged everything in advance. He'd timed it to the moment Connor would arrive. The plan, let helplessness creep in, then despair, until I finally cracked. I crawled to the door, meaning to pound on it, but my body slid down the panels, my limbs were useless. Connor scanned the room, lingered a beat. When I gave no answer he nodded. Must have missed each other. I'll head back. And just like that, I watched my best chance at rescue walk away. Once Connor was gone, Nathaniel muttered about moving me somewhere else. This mansion was compromised, my family could show up any minute. I heard every word, but couldn't move or make a sound. I'd all but given up when the window scraped. Something like a branch scratched the glass, exactly the signal Connor used when we were kids and he wanted me to sneak out. I dragged myself to the window and reached for the sill. As I struggled upright, the bedroom door opened. Nathaniel's icy voice followed. Victoria, shouldn't you be resting? What are you doing up? Come on, let's get you back to bed. When the drug wears off we'll relocate. I glared, wondering if this monster was really the Nathaniel I'd married. How could anyone wear a mask this perfectly? He expected me to break, but all I felt was white-hot rage. Missing the rescue window hadn't shattered me, it had sharpened me. He tossed me onto the mattress, flashing a demon's grin. He even informed me the effects would fade in 30 minutes. Behave when it's over, he warned, and you'll spare yourself pain. Brielle lounged in the doorway, sneering.
So this is the Vance heiress? I thought you were clever. Turns out you're just another dumb princess. Exactly 30 minutes later, the drug released its grip. Strength and speech returned. Nathaniel stepped in and threatened, "Walk to the car yourself, or I tie you up. If I have to do it, I can't promise I'll be gentle." Bree twirled a coil of coarse rope. Knowing resistance was pointless, I asked, "You honestly aren't afraid my family will hunt you?" "Afraid? What have I done?" "We're married," couples argue. "Even if I hit you right now, it's just domestic violence, first offense, a lecture at most." He always mapped every angle. I never imagined he'd use that cunning on me. "Say you get what you want," I said. "You really think my family won't chase you across the planet?" He laughed. "The Vances are big, sure, but they rule only the South. Once I'm overseas, what can they do?" Nathaniel had already drafted his exit. Grab the prize, fly Brielle and the twins abroad, and live like royalty on a fat bankroll. I nodded slowly. "So that's the scheme. Since you get it, move your ass to the car." Bree tapped her watch, impatient. Unruffled, I asked, "Are you two absolutely sure this plan is foolproof?" "Whether it is or isn't, you'll find out soon." Nathaniel seized my arm. This time I didn't fight. Struggling was futile. I let him haul me toward the hall. The moment he opened the front door, several figures burst inside. He never saw the ambush coming. They yanked me free and slammed him to the floor, clean, brutal, efficient. Pinned face down, he still looked stunned. Brielle shrieked, "Who are you people? What do you want?" The twins bolted out, shouting, "Let go of our dad." "Let him go!" I exhaled, shaky with relief. I turned to the rescuers. "Did Connor send you?" The lead man answered, "Wes ordered us." "Wes? Which Wes?" I couldn't recall any elite Wes in my circle, certainly not one who'd intervene. He added, "Wes said Miss Vance loses one hair, we lose a month's pay." That line made me even more curious. Who exactly was this Wes? Meanwhile Nathaniel snarled from the floor, "Victoria, you slut, you've been screwing around behind my back. Talk trash if you want, but choose your lies carefully." In 10 years of marriage I'd never even thought of cheating. The accusation was absurd. And he had the gall to question me? "You should have seen this day coming the moment you cheated." I'd assumed these bodyguards were Connor's, figuring he'd station them here when he couldn't find me at home. But every face was unfamiliar. They hadn't only set the trap, they were under orders. The moment they realized I'd been taken, they called the police. The officers arrived within minutes and hauled Nathaniel away for attempted abduction and unlawful confinement. Brielle, his accomplice, was also dragged to the Riverdale precinct for questioning. The 2 children they'd brought along started wailing. Before the squad car door slammed, Nathaniel stared straight at me. His eyes were chilling, and he warned, "Don't forget what I told you. Even if you manage to lock me up, so what? I'll be out in 48 hours, tops." I answered coolly, "Let's see about that." Not long after, Connor, belatedly, raced back to the Vance estate. He found the front door ajar and me seated on the sofa. Only then did he exhale. "I thought something happened. I called you a dozen times." I shot Connor a withering look. Before I could speak, Weston, lounging on the same sofa, chuckled, "Something did happen, but it's handled now." Weston was the young master the older bodyguard had mentioned, heir to the Ellison dynasty in Manhattan and the buyer who'd just acquired my equity. He and Connor were friends, the kind who trusted each other with their lives. Connor blinked. "Wes, what are you doing at my sister's place?" "What went down?" When I recounted the entire ordeal, Connor went pale. He apologized over and over, cursing himself for being an idiot. Truthfully, I hadn't expected my rescuer to be Weston. We'd met exactly once, that afternoon while signing the contracts. Even stranger, after I'd told him what I'd been through, he'd simply paid attention and planted a security detail on me. The bodyguard who'd intervened was the same middle-aged man from earlier. The moment he heard shouting, he radioed the rest of his team hiding in the gardens. All of it felt impossibly coincidental. Just as Nathaniel had boasted, he and Brielle walked free within days. There was no solid proof of any crime. The second he stepped out, he began hunting me. Not for love, because Weston and I had shorted the 35% stake he pledged as collateral, leaving him penniless. Brielle was also fired. She's unemployed and toxic now. 2 months slid by and I assumed the nightmare was over. Then, while I was downtown browsing boutiques, a black BMW sedan started tailing me. Behind the wheel, Nathaniel, unshaven, Quinn, and gaunt, a ghost of the man he'd been. He floored it at a crowded crosswalk and aimed straight for me. I'd imagined every revenge scenario, except one where he'd mow down civilians to get to me. The crosswalk was packed with families, no one had time to scatter. The BMW was almost on top of us, escape was impossible. Instinctively I yanked the nearest child against my chest and shut my eyes. My life flashed in fragments, every deal, every lie, every kiss. A deafening crash ripped the air, the BMW was rammed off trajectory and catapulted into the lake beside the boulevard. What remained on the pavement was a crumpled, smoking Maybach. I recognized it instantly, Weston's car. I sprinted over to find him unconscious behind the airbag. Besides me, strangers swarmed in, smashing windows, hauling him out. His split-second decision hadn't just saved me, he'd shielded dozens of families from grief. Weston woke the next evening. I'd stayed bedside the entire time. "What time is it?" he rasped, smiling weakly. 8 p.m. "You've been out 24 hours. And him? Police took him away. This time he's not coming back. Attempted murder with terroristic intent, failure doesn't erase the crime, the judge won't grant bail." I asked, "You're the heir to $100 billion group. What if you died? How would I explain that to your family?" Weston squeezed my hand. "All that matters is you're safe." I tried to pull away just as Connor barged in. "Wes, are you okay?" He stopped mid-sentence at the sight of our linked hands, then spun on his heel and left. I stared after Connor, mortified, and started to stand. Weston yanked me back. "Victoria, be my girlfriend." I hadn't expected a straight-out proposal, especially while still married, scarred by the last man. Reading my panic, he said gently, "I understand. I'll wait." "All right, but I can't name a deadline." I refused to hurt him, his status made the stakes enormous. Yet he answered without hesitation, "I don't care how long." After that I left on a solo world tour, hopping from one sun-soaked, postcard-perfect city to the next, scrubbing the past from my mind. I didn't return even for Nathaniel's sentencing. I mailed the divorce settlement, my lawyer finalized the divorce in absentia. I stayed away 2 full years. When I finally came home, Weston was exactly where he'd promised, waiting. So I said yes to the ring he offered. With both sets of parents watching, we walked down the aisle. Wedding night, Weston drank himself under the table. Only then did I learn we'd attended the same university. He'd watched me from afar ever since, certain he'd lost his chance, resigned to blessing my life from the background. Fate, he said, had circled back and dealt him a second hand. Within months of the honeymoon, I was pregnant. We settled into a life quieter than boardrooms and headlines, and happier than I ever imagined. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this tale? If you enjoyed it, like and share. Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more stories, and see you next time.